All right. Good morning, everyone. Black opinionated woman here, also known as a bow. So before I get into it, I just want to say I took my braids out yesterday. So I have these two like Princess Leia buns here. They're a little tight for my liking, so I might have a headache. But it looks like I got some booties on my head. But look, it is what it is. We got to look. I didn't have time, right? I gotta wash and do things to my hair, and I don't know what I'm gonna do today. So we just have to roll with it. Okay? So we're not going to judge. I mean, maybe a little bit. And I know I would deserve it. Let's not judge with me having two booties on my head. Now, look, I was yipping and yapping last week. So I had some downtime and I was talking with a coworker of mine. Now, this is a gentleman that's a little older and, well, a lot a bit older, um, significantly older. Um, and somehow we were having a conversation and he started talking about marriage and children. He's always talking about this type of thing. He likes to talk about relationships and how to find it. I don't know why he's telling me about it because I'm already married with like four children. So, but he likes to share that information, and I'm like, okay. But somehow, I mean, because he reads these books and study. There's some people he follow. I don't know. This man is pushing close to 70. Nice guy though. So he always likes to share little tidbits on relationships, and sometimes with a different coworker. But it was just him and myself, and we were just chatting, having a good time. But he wanted me to know that single women, well, anyone in general, but he was focused on women, single women who don't get married and have children are selfish. Now, I want you to let that one sink in for a second. Now, keep in mind, several months ago, maybe it was 2 months, I don't even know how long ago it was. I had several videos talking about single women coming for a married woman for some reason. Now, as a woman myself, I have to defend womanhood, right? Even though the single women were like going psycho a couple months ago. But I can't let you just come for women like that, right? So I never thought I was going to be in this position where I had to go cape for the women now, too, right? I just try to cape for myself, but I cape for women because I am a woman, and more specifically a black woman. And in this conversation, obviously, it became much more pointed. There was a level of specificity. I'm trying to get around this truck because this truck is not going fast enough for me. All right, let me get back in this lane so I can get my exit. Um, so there was a level of specificity to this discussion in relation to black women. And I started telling him, like, well, there were so many things. But I said, number one, the numbers have come down actually with women having children across the board, and especially in Western societies or more progressive societies around the world. He's like, you don't think that's selfishness? Men have this innate need to procreate. So they're being selfish. I'm like, well, the two things that you mentioned, men needing or wanting to procreate and women not procreating with men makes them selfish. You're really talking about two separate things. But I don't want to speak on the men. I'm not a man right now, right? So, like, I don't want to speak on men's innate desire to procreate. Although I think men and women were put on this earth so that we could procreate. But when it came to the women, I said, well, wait a second. Why is it that the woman has to be deemed selfish? Because we are all selfish. Like for people who had children, why didn't they have more? You know, I said, but let's unpack this further. I'm like, you want these women to have children with men. I'm like, why should they have children with men? Now, keep in mind, I'm like, I don't really want to go out of my way to cape for single women, not because I don't think they're worthy. I'm just kind of like, I just had a couple of words about single women trying to denigrate married women a couple months ago. But, right is right, wrong is wrong, or whatever. I was like, what you don't need to do is come after single women for not wanting to procreate. Now, I'm like, this is the thing. why would they want to be in a relationship with someone where it's taxing on them? And he looked at me like I was speaking in tongues, or maybe pig Latin. I don't know. Like I was like up shut, up shake, up a. I forgot how to even speak pig Latin. So he was like, well, "What do you mean?" I said, "You want women." Basically, he's like, "I think it's really good for women to basically have all these children." I said, "Well, in what context?" I'm like, because during our conversation, we were talking about the cost of living and everything too. And I said, wait a second, it's really expensive to raise children. I know, you know, because we have children. My kids are in middle school, high school, and college. So I'm like, I don't know why you would want them to sign up for that sort of thing. I said, for one, women are tired and they're opting out. He's like, well, they're so selfish. I'm like, well, let's say they are selfish. Why should they opt back in? Because, like, we should be having children. Men want to procreate. I'm like, so you're making this about men. Because men want to procreate, women should bear their children. I said, so first of all, they need to know that it is an honor for a woman to lend her body and her time and her emotions and everything to care for your legacy. So because men want to have kids, women should just give them children. I said, you do understand that women are tired because you can't afford to have a family based off on income. And I said, now let's be clear. These men are not traditional. You got these men who want traditional women when they are not traditional. And he looked at me like, what? I said, oh, yes. There are people who are not even aware of this argument, by the way. So I said, you've got men who want these traditional women, but I said, the men are not traditional. They can't afford to take care of these families. They can barely afford to take care of themselves. And then he got really quiet again. I said, they cannot afford a wife and children, not in the traditional sense. I said, so now the women are getting tired because the men are not capable of taking care of these families. And now women have to work. And now they have agency in themselves and they can make decisions for themselves, the life that they want in their bodies. I said, but look, women have to work. And now if they bear your children, they also have to work, take care of the house, take care of the children, and also cater to you too. And at this point, if you're not going to be an active participant in the process, because many men are not, some are. And he got quiet. He's like, yeah, you're right. I said, why would they want to sign up for that? I'm like, they were married in the past because they didn't have agency in themselves. They didn't have options. They were told they had to get married. And the man made all the money. So I don't want to make this about money, but money is a component in this. I'm like, well, look, now that they have agency in themselves, they're like, you know what? I'm opting out. I don't need this. I'd rather work and take care of myself versus being in this unhappy relationship. And it doesn't mean that they're unhappy, but they don't want to have to be in a relationship and not be able to take care of themselves because they also have to take care of children and the house and everything else. I'm like, why would they want to sign up for that? He's like, I just think it's selfish. I'm like, right. So you want them to take on all the labor just so you can say that you had some children? And then he got quiet again. I said, they don't want to deal with it. And I went into some other things. But I'm just like laughing. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm caping for all the single women. But it's true. Some of them just don't want to have children. It's not a crime. Some of them they have trauma. Maybe they were one of, I don't know, 15 kids or something. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know. And so they're like, I don't want this. Maybe they had food insecurity. I don't know. And if you were in a large family, they're like, I don't ever want to feel like that again. I'm not having kids. I don't know. I said, look at the state of this world. You've got people who don't know how to identify on any given basis. They wake up and like now they got to be somebody else. And they're looking at the politicians and they're like, I don't want this. I said, you've got people who just want to have a little family and they can't afford to buy a home. I said, and you know who's sitting in all these homes? All of you senior types. And some of my generation. And check this out. You guys can't really even sell your homes. You guys have multiple homes, but half of you can't sell them anyway because nobody can afford to buy them. So you want women to say, hey, I'll bear children. And it's like, there's a standard that maybe they want to live by. Maybe they want to have their children live by a certain standard. They're like, screw that. They're opting out. And I said, and now men have to deal with it too. They've got to be better. The economy's got to be better. Women have to be better too. Don't get me wrong. I said, but look, they are being better. And now men are mad because they're opting not to have as many kids. And because they're not having as many kids, right, there's a lot going on. So he's like, after he kind of got quiet. And I was like, well, what would you have them do? He said, well, you know what, you're right about some things. I was like, yeah. I said, it's not perfect, but these women are like, no, thank you. When I was younger, I was like, you're not going to saddle me with 500 kids. I mean, I don't know how I ended up before. I mean, I know how I ended up before, but I was like, I'm good. You get to see the world, travel. You get to explore things you want to do. You live life on your own terms. It's fantastic. And a lot of times people think it's about money, money, money. It's not just about that. Sometimes it's like the ability to actualize for yourself. Now, I got on to single women because they always talk about their money, of course. You know, I have more money. But what's beyond that? Now, like I said, that's another discussion. What's beyond that? For some people, it doesn't necessarily mean kids. So, anyway, I was camping for single women because at the end of the day, I care about women, even though single women don't care for married women at all. But, and now I'm saying that a little bit tongue in cheek because I don't think it's that deep all the time, but I could be wrong. But I'd seen the trend of women just dunking and crapping on married women. Like we were taking missiles, I'm telling you. Like salvos were coming out. We were getting blown up. And I'm like, we're not even coming for the single women. I will say this. I feel like single women should be able to make that choice for themselves. We need to stop judging them for it. They don't want to have children, and it's okay. Is it good for society? People are going to always have kids. Maybe not at the rate of what we were having them before. But we can't put this all on single women. And look, single women are making better choices, right? You're complaining about the abortions and this, that, and the other. They don't want children. They're opting out of children. They're using contraceptives other than abortion, obviously. But I mean, or in addition, I don't know, whatever. What I'm saying is, if you're complaining about, like for example, within the black community, you know, all of the children who are in these homes that are not healthy per se, and they've reduced the number of kids that they're having, and now this is still a problem. I'm like, you can't sit there and talk about you want women to have children, but men don't want to be married. Focus on men wanting to be married. They don't want to be married, but we're talking about, well, women need to not talk about. I don't know why single women are talking about not having children. I'm like, have you spoken to any of these men? They don't want to be married. They're so busy thinking that everybody's a gold digger and that everybody's coming after their money. I'm like, well, if you're a black man, the average black man is not worth any money. So what money do you think they're coming after? I'm like, and if that's all that you're thinking about, how sad for you. Hmm. Like, there's this unhealthy fascination about, like, well, I don't want to be divorced. I'm like, well, what about not wanting to be poor? Did you know that people fare better when they're married? Generally speaking, there's exceptions to every rule, but we're not talking about the exceptions. I mean, like, the men's argument is silly. Well, they're a gold digger. I'm like, the only people who don't have money are concerned about the gold being dug. And that's the truth. It's the truth. Men of means are not worried about women coming after money, right? I mean, you protect yourself, don't get me wrong, but the point I'm making is because if you're a man of means, you're not worried about somebody liking you, because that's part of the thing anyways, that you are financially stable. And for the record, let me just say, this is a total, like, sidebar. I'm so sick and tired of people saying, like, oh, she's a gold digger. I'm like, why does somebody be a gold digger because they want a man of means? I know I did. I was like, no brokies over here because I don't take care of men, right? I can take care of myself, so why would I want somebody else's? Oh, absolutely not. I had a standard for myself. And so it wasn't so much I wanted to be in somebody's pockets, but I'm like, what? And this whole conversation around that is so silly to me. Like, she's a gold digger. I'm like, you don't even have any gold. What gold is she digging for? And part of the allure of somebody who is of means is more security. And I'm trying to figure out, like, you should be, like, flattered. Like, yes, you know what? Because I feel like you have the capability, at least financially, to take care of me. That's why that's the kind of stuff. That's why women go out there and have all these babies by these rich dudes. It's security. I'm not saying it's right. What I'm saying is it's security. Women like all forms of security. I've said it in old videos. I said we like financial security, physical security, sexual security, educational security, emotional security, spiritual security. We like security. And if somebody can take care of one of those things, and then there's one less security that women have to worry about. Why would you want to have children by a man who can't take care of it? I mean, it happens all the time. But I just listen to these guys talking about, like, yeah, she's a gold digger. I'm like, Cat, you don't have any gold. You're clearly a man without any means, worried that somebody's going to take your last little tiny little nugget. Shut up. Worried about some other things. Anyway, I just think it off my chest. So anyway, I caped for the single women. I didn't like the conversation he had. Now, obviously, we had much more to this conversation, but at the end of the day, we need to stop coming after women now, because that's like the thing. Like, women who don't want to have children are selfish. I'm like, you're selfish. Are you offering up marriage? Are you offering up stability, emotional availability, all these things? No? Then shut up. Are you going to put them in a house where they can raise their children? No. Then shut up. I mean, the whole thing is just so weird. All right, so this is a really good time for you to go ahead and subscribe to my channel, my little fledgling channel, and leave a comment. And look, I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. I don't think I'm wrong on this at all. But I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. All right, so let me go ahead and cut all this off because I don't have anything else to say. Bye.